All right, we'll keep it in the Deshaun Watson theme, the second half Deshaun Watson theme show, as we'll call it, and we'll move into assuming the we'll have a little bit of fun now. We I think we both agree that the most likely scenario from here is a trade for Deshaun Watson. So now we'll look at possible destinations. I know there's a lot of speculation from far and wide on where he might go, as these things tend to go. So how do you see it, Drink? Give me a destination or two or three if you want of where you think Deshaun Watson could be headed in a trade scenario.
Okay, so when you think about Deshaun Watson, I think we talked about his accolades. Deshaun Watson, eh, if we're talking about position wise, he's definitely top three of his position. That's for first and foremost. If we're talking about NFL wise, he's a top 10, top 15 player. So you say to yourself, a player that's that high most likely would be a franchise changing player, especially if you're talking about quarterback. Now I know sometimes you got defensive ends and stuff that might make that list, and you like a defensive end might not really be a franchise changer because you got to score points and all that good stuff. But when you're talking about a player of the level of Deshaun Watson, here's the deal. You're going to have to give up some picks. You're going to have to give up a position player. You're going to have to give up some things. So I wanted to draw that little conclusion before I jump into it. When you look at it that way, you say, what would you need to get a player of Deshaun Watson's caliber? I'm thinking 2 firsts, a second, and a decent quarterback option on that team. Most likely, whoever your starting quarterback was before, that guy's in that trade. When I put all that together, and I'm gonna give this credit out to one Stephen A. Smith. He actually was throwing them out, and actually, when I thought about it, I was like, it does make sense. The first option was the New York Jets. Now I know it's the Jets. I got it. Oh, who the hell want to go to the Jets? But let's keep in mind here, the Jets have the capital. They have the 2 first-round picks. They have the money to go buy other players, and they have a starting quarterback that can go to the Texans and be somewhat productive. So that's what the Texans want. They want a productive quarterback. They two first rounds, a second round, and if you want to throw something else in and get greedy, I don't know. But my point is this: the Jets got that. Oh, keep in mind the Jets also just hired a minority coach in Robert Salas. Good coach. Maybe they hit that off. And now, guess what else Robert Salas don't have to do? Sit here and try to figure out his quarterback situation. Once Deshaun Watson come in the door, that's the guy. No ifs, ands, buts about it. Listen, now, and by the way, for people that don't remember, the Jets do have the number 2 pick as well. Number 2 overall pick. That is very enticing. I know that's very enticing to the Texans. Because even if the Texans say, hey, we don't want Sam Darnold, we'll just draft the quarterback. Okay, cool. Now you got a good starter and backup in New York if you want. Or you got a bargaining chip where you could trade Sam Darnold to someone else that might want him and get something back for him. So the Jets, even though we beat up on them a lot in that market and everything, the Jets is a plausible destination. And destination number 2 was the Miami Dolphins. I got it. The Miami Dolphins just drafted Tua. Well, you got to get rid of Tua already for Deshaun Watson? You're damn right. Listen, I love myself some Tua. The guy came and changed the coach at Alabama. I love him some. I love me some Tua. But at the end of the day, if I'm Miami and you telling me I can get Deshaun Watson, hey Tua, go ahead and pack them bags. We're gonna catch you later. He got to go. I'm sorry. And once again, Miami is another team. 2 first-round picks. I could throw in a second. I can give you a average to above average quarterback trade for your team. And also, Miami, Brian Flores, GM, minorities, $66 million to spend on the cap. You got a lot of stuff going on. And at the end of the day, it's Miami. So you got a lot going on now that I think could benefit Miami and the Texans. So for the sake of this segment, I think I agree with Stephen A. It comes down to, I think, the Jets and Miami as far as the best case scenario. No, it is other scenarios I've been hearing. Maybe the Colts might try to get him. Okay, maybe the Lions thinking about getting them. It is other teams, even the Patriots. Somebody I heard a scenario with the Patriots. It's other scenarios with teams that might be better all around rosters than those two teams. However, those other teams can't match the other three categories. What am I getting back? What am I building on? Location, et cetera, et cetera. Those other teams don't meet those criteria. But if you talking about overall better teams, those teams could be considered overall better. The coach, we just seen what the coach did. We know how Bill Belichick get down with New England, and and so on and so forth. And one of the points that we was talking about before I close this out, that what Nick Wright said pretty much. It's 32 teams in the NFL. I'm telling you right now, every last one of them outside of the Kansas City Chiefs will take a phone call. They might say no at the end of that phone call, but if you're not the Kansas City Chiefs, you're going to pick up that phone and you're going to listen to what they're saying. And if it's reasonable, it's reasonable. If it's not, you hang up. But you're going to listen because this is Deshaun Watson. So that's why we're talking about it, because this is a big move. This is a big ticket item. So with that said, I agree with Stephen A. Jets, Miami. We'll see. This is a fun topic.
I think up front, going back to the last topic briefly, there's got to be, I think there's going to have to be some dialogue either way between the Texans and Deshaun Watson, because if they can't keep him, they still got to get together and be like, all right, well, we gave you a no trade clause. So, where would you like to go? Because I think the last thing you want to do is put in all this effort, for, let's just say that it's the Jets. Well, Deshaun Watson, they don't have no interest at all in going to the Jets and says, yeah, that looks cool, but no, I don't think you want to waste all that time on all that, because we know the Texans, they've been wasting time for years now with some of the stuff they've been doing. So let's go ahead and use your time a little bit more effectively, Nick Caserio. Let's go ahead and take some steps on that. I think up front, those are because of the the draft capital and some of the young assets, and they do have, both of them have young quarterbacks that you could say, hey, well, you're giving us Deshaun Watson, we can give you all this draft capital, and oh, by the way, we'll give you a young quarterback who could still do some things. I don't Sam Darnold, to me, he hasn't been given a fair shake with the New York Jets. So I don't know if the guy can play, at a somewhat of a a starting quarterback level. So I mean, that could be something you want to do. I think the Jets make more sense than the Dolphins, because I look at the Dolphins and what they've been doing, and they got the right coach in Brian Flores, and they tore the thing down, and now they're building it back up their way. And I just look at them. They got a little bit of a process type feel to them, where they built it down. Now they building it back up. They got a good foundation. All the draft picks that they've used, they've hit on a lot of them. Some good free agent signs. I think Xavier Howard, Byron Jones, that cornerback connection that they have, that's a good investment. Kyle Van Noy, that's a smart free agent sign. They've done a lot of things right, and I think it all comes down to me. If the Dolphins think that Tua Tagovailoa is the guy, then even though I think Deshaun Watson, that's enticing and that's the best move for right now, do you want to sacrifice the direction and the progress you've made to do something that looks real nice and shiny right now? So if they don't believe in Tua, on the other hand, then yeah, I think you have to seriously entertain this. And of course, they have all the capital in the world to make this happen. So I think that's where I look, and I'd be interested in like asking Brian Flores, like, what do you think? Is Tua the guy or is he not the guy? And I think you have to answer that question before you look at getting Deshaun Watson. So I think those are two like easy scenarios to look at. But a couple others that I've been thinking about recently. I think Carolina is somewhat interesting. Carolina, they got the bridge quarterback over there in Teddy Bridgewater. No pun intended.
Teddy Two Gloves, Teddy Two Gloves.
Yeah, no, I didn't even. I really didn't. They say no pun intended. I really didn't mean that. A little bridge joke there. But I think with Bridgewater, I think we even though he got like a mid-level contract, and like let's see if he can be the starter. And I think Teddy Bridgewater can start for some teams, but I don't know if anyone views him as a guy that can ultimately lead you to where you want to go. I think if you're Carolina, and that's another team that kind of fell down rock bottom, so to speak, in the final season with Cam Newton, couldn't stay healthy. And then the defense completely went into disarray. You get Luke Kuechly retiring. But you got Matt Rule in there. He brings in Joe Brady. So they got, two young coaches who, and I think Carolina, even though the record didn't end up being all that impressive, we still saw a lot of things that we liked. They completely retooled their defense. Derek Brown, Jeremy Chin, lot of things to like over there. If there's a situation, and I don't know how the money shakes out, that's one of the disadvantages of not having the salary cap guru himself, in the third box here with us. But if there is a scenario, there's a scenario where you can keep Christian McCaffrey and you don't have to give him up, I think Carolina is interesting. And of course, maybe that, going back to the no trade clause, Deshaun Watson, he's got a little bit of a Carolina connection because he played down at Clemson. So there's some geographic like familiarity there. I don't know if that's a factor here, but similar. It's I think that could be somewhat interesting. I think Matt Rule and Joe Brady, Joe Brady and Deshaun Watson, and what that air raid type offense might look like. Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, that's a great place to start. And if you can keep Christian McCaffrey, and you can have Deshaun Watson and Christian McCaffrey in the same backfield, that's the best backfield. You've automatically got the best backfield in football right there. And you can immediately, just last year, we thought, they drafted an entirely new defense. That's how bad off they were. But all of a sudden, it only took them 1 year, and they're heading in the right direction. I think they could get ahead quickly if they could put a package together. The second outside looking in team that maybe should at least be interested and at least, divvy up and see what they have is the Denver Broncos. I don't talk much about my fandom for, my teams on this show, but I'm going to tell you right now, ever since Peyton Manning, this team been looking high and low. They've been on a coast-to-coast quarterback search, and they still ain't figured it out. We got John Elway. He's up, he's given himself a promotion and gotten out of the GM role or whatever he's doing. You have George Patton in there. And I don't know. I don't know about Drew Lock. I will say from his rookie to his second year, it didn't inspire confidence. It was a pretty less than stellar year, to put it mildly. But they do have a lot of young talent. They got Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton will come back for you. KJ Hamler. There's a lot of young weaponry that a guy like Deshaun Watson could, I think if you could find a way to get Deshaun Watson in there, of course, Drew Lock would have to go. It'd be a situation of, does Houston do they think anything of Drew Lock? And I don't know how much draft capital Denver has. I think they'd have to probably go in the hole some, give up multiple first round picks. But if they could put a package together, I don't know. I'll tell you one thing. I throw Von Miller down there to him. Y'all want aging defensive players? Let's give you a Von Miller and JJ Watt sack combination. Does that sound good to you? I don't know. But I think Denver should be on the phone and they should be interested. Because
if I was them, if I was the Texans and I was trading, who you would give up?
Who?
Noah Fant. That's who I'd be
Noah
asking
Fant?
for.
I'd give you Noah Fant. You can have Noah Fant. You can have Noah Fant and Drew Lock.
I'd be like, no, I don't want Drew Lock. I want Noah Fant. Noah Fant. I take the old guys. I don't want Drew Lock.
I think those are two. I think those are two less than likely, destinations. But I think both Carolina and Denver should be very interested in this development, and they should, like you say, nonetheless, they should be making phone calls and on the hook with Nick Caserio and seeing what's a package that you would be looking at and seeing if they could, if they have enough to get that package. And I think some of this, in the end, draft capital and players. If I can get Deshaun Watson and it takes more than just my current quarterback, I look at that too. Or you want guys that can actually contribute today? Let's talk about that.